what was your overall response when you found out what the NCAA handed down to Michigan?
I expected it. I mean, at the end of the day, if it was going to be something more, if we were going to forfeit championships, forfeit titles, a significant amount of games would be missed for Sharon Moore this year, next year, we would have got wind of that way before, because they would have got wind of it. And that would have been something that was talked about, and so we had to figure that out. The fact that it came late, it was going to be something like this. I mean, it's $20 million. Last time I checked, we're a big business school. You know how many billionaires we got on our payroll? You know how many billionaire alums we got? At the drop of a hat, we can make a phone call.
But that's not that shouldn't be the point, though.
But you asked me, and I'm eloquating how I'm eloquating, and that's what I started with. What would you like me to say?
Well, I don't want you to say. I want you to say it. I'm just saying, when people say Michigan, we got more money than anybody else, and so on and so forth. The point is that $20 million is still $20 million. It hits your athletic department because Michigan handles things differently than most other schools. Michigan does not rely on the university for their football program. It pays for itself. So $20 million is, I think, significant, and if it could be as high as $30 million. It is significant, and I do understand why Michigan would then say, you know what, let's appeal and see if we can lower it. Because look, even if it's $8 to $10 million, it's still $8 to $10 million bucks. Who's to say how much is enough?
I agree, and I just disagree with you, though. At the end of the day, Michigan got money. Michigan has money, and that $133 that they keep in kitty cash, that they keep for things of this nature, will go about taking care of that. And then they can have Larry Ellison, or then they can have Stephen Ross, or whoever other donors help them in that situation. As it relates to the issue, this is the NCAA, Big Ten underneath them, still find a way to get at Michigan because they hated how things played out. The whole incident with Michigan happened when the NCAA no longer had power. The NIL had taken over. They didn't like that Michigan and Jim Harbaugh thumbed their nose up at them, and they had to take it. There's nothing really they could do about it. So if they want to keep Michigan's name in the press, be smudging their name, if you will, go right ahead. Sharon Moore missing a game against Western Michigan does nothing for us. The only thing will be the postseason revenue, especially because Michigan believes that this season, next year, they will be in that postseason. Them losing out on that, I think that is a deal. But suspending Connor Stallions and suspending Jim Harbaugh, this is an old-rooted issue. They're just still trying to drag Michigan, keep it in the public. At the end of the day, what really happened? Absolutely nothing.
Well, you admit something happened. I mean, they were in the wrong.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what happened that affects Michigan, like that bothers them this season or next. Nothing.
What would you think would have been, from your point of view, the right punishment that they should serve?
I mean, this is the right punishment. Like, every year it's been something. It'd be $20 million this year. It's postseason revenue this year. Next year is a game. Jim Harbaugh's missed how many games? Sharon Moore missed some games. So they keep tacking things on over the past 3.5 years now. So there's been enough. I mean, just in 23 alone, when you announce on an airplane that Jim Harbaugh is not to coach the Penn State game, that almost cost Michigan a national championship. So I think enough has been done. Because if you're not just going to come out and say Michigan cheated, forego the national championship trophy, you guys didn't win that. If you're not going to say that, then what are we talking about? You fined us, you suspended Harbaugh, you suspended Sharon Moore, you suspended Connor Stallions, you've gotten coaches, you've gotten rid of coaches. What more would you like them to do?
But just so we're clear, I don't want people to think one thing. You're not saying that the NCAA has it out for Michigan, right? You're just saying in this situation, Michigan was penalized, and they were penalized properly.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I just wanted that clarification. Some people will say, you're trying to tell me Michigan didn't do anything wrong? They did do something wrong.
They got penalized, so yes, they did something wrong. Obviously, they agree with that. They got penalized. Yeah.
We had this conversation with Anson, who was emotional about from a Michigan State perspective, and I understand.
Was he?
I just don't understand the Michigan State perspective.
Yeah,
it's you have nothing to do with this.
Yeah, they look at it as it's quote unquote unfair.
Yeah.
If somebody else had done this, okay, Tennessee back in the day, for crying out loud, he was looking for another program that is as dirty or unclean as Michigan.
If there was another program, you wouldn't hear about it. The reason why we're still talking about it is because it was Michigan. Because Michigan is holier than thou. Michigan and Notre Dame are like the two schools that are unscathed, or worse, excuse us. We have a blemish on our record, a big blemish now. but they were like the unscathed institutions, if you will. This has been going on. Teams have been doing this. The same stuff Michigan was doing. If Ohio State would have done it, we wouldn't be here. If Alabama would have done it, we wouldn't be here.
Well,
if Georgia would have been it, we wouldn't be here. I disagree.
Yeah, I think we would be here.
No, we wouldn't.
But in fairness to those schools, they didn't have a member of a coach's staff on a sideline.
Yeah.
I think that is the worst look that they've had through this. It's one thing stealing signs.
Right.
Happens all the time. How many times, this is an interesting perspective, how many times in your playing career were guys changing up signals from the sidelines?
All the time.
All the time, right? Maybe different quarters, maybe at the half or whatever. But people act like, see, they knew the sign. Those signs change on a regular basis during a game. So I'm not sure exactly what you think you're accomplishing, but being on the sidelines in somebody else's hat and somebody and having the glasses and all that other stuff, that was the one thing that I think perturbed people the most, more than anything else. Personally, if you're trying to take away a championship, I think that falls on deaf ears. I think everybody's going to recognize that championship. It's always going to be in the books. It's not like people are going to go back and say, you know what? See, there was no champion in, X amount of year because they cheated. Nobody does that. They didn't do that with Louisville basketball. They haven't done that in the past. They've tried to take it away, but in the end, people still recognize that team as the national champion.
As they should. They were national champions. I beat this horse who was dead in the face before, talking about Connor Stallions and what happened and the cheating. Did it help? Did it hurt? I don't know. I mean, no one's ever even came out fully and said, well, Jim knew this or they knew that and he did this and he did this. Well, Connor Stallions acted on his own. So getting caught up in what it is and what it was, we still beat Michigan State by 47 when they knew. We still beat Ohio State, and Hassan Haskins had 4 touchdowns rushing. So, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
What are we still doing here? Are you trying to punish Jerome Moore? Fine. Here's a game against Western. It's all good.
Yeah. 2 games this year.
Yeah.
A game next year. And then what many people want is the punishment of a program, so they would like no postseason ability this year.
Yeah.
I've always asked people this. If that's your opinion, that's fine. I respect it. I'd like to know how much is enough. That's all I ask. And if you say, you know what, postseason ban this year, why this year and not next? Why not 2 years? Why not 3 years? What exactly are you trying to accomplish that? You want to punish the coach, you want to punish the administration, how much is left over? There has to be some type of acceptance of blame. What is enough? It's never answered. Like the NCAA thought there was enough there to require a postseason ban, but didn't implement such a postseason ban. And I wonder why that is. I think those are questions that people have that would go a long way to solving all the debate.
But that's not up for Michigan to decide. And then that's the space where Michigan you get confused because you want us to tell us what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to tell you what's a viable option for suspension or what's a viable option for punishment. The NCAA, they sure didn't come out and say, well, Michigan did this and this is what we think. They've led you on a 3-year tirade of, well, maybe we can do this, or let us get back to you, or let us think about it, or let us meet. Though, let's put it on the Big Ten. Big Ten, you say what Michigan has to do. Big Ten said, we'll put it back on the NCAA. You tell Michigan were they wrong. What was wrong? What happened? At some point, somebody come out and say, this is what happened, this is what was wrong, this is what the penalty is. And people accept it. Don't look for Michigan to say, yeah, this is...
And make it across the board, too.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm so confused. We're confused because it's confusing.
Yeah. Yeah. Self-imposing your own penalty, people scoff their nose at that. My question to them would be, if you were the athletic director, if you were in charge of that school, whatever school it may be, I don't care if it's Michigan or another school, what exactly would you impose for your own punishment? So, and then, when Anson and I had that conversation, take away the championship. You wouldn't do that.
No.
You would not do that. You would lose all credibility and support from coaches, student athletes, student body, a lot of the student body, and more importantly, your donors. So you wouldn't do that. Please don't feed me that, because that's not true. That's not something that you would do. Now, if they said to you, you self-impose first and foremost, and then we'll adjust from there, if they're the NCAA, if you're any school, who are you self-imposing against? You're not doing it against MSU. You're not doing it against Ohio State. What are you going to do? Yeah. You're going to do it against teams that you feel like you've got an advantage over. I would do that too. Just about everybody would. Yeah. That's human nature, don't you think? It's just a battle that's going to enrage on for a long time. And I suppose when people say, well, they got a game next year, so it's going to come up again. You know what? It's going to come up again no matter what. So why not, if you're Michigan, go and appeal that, see if you can lessen the financial load. And if you can't, and you got to live with 20 to 30 million, then so be it. But if you can lessen that financial load, I'd be doing it. Why not? See what your thoughts are in the chat, and any thoughts on the college football that is right around the corner.
And I see it here in the chat, man. Some people they're all over Ohio State right now, man. I love this one.
I didn't even want to bring that angle up.
They're all over Ohio State. Because one of the things that they definitely know is no matter what you say about that national championship year, and you know that Ohio State did win one, they still couldn't beat Michigan. They still couldn't solve the strength. They still couldn't solve the plays. They still couldn't solve the fact that Michigan has them figured out. And
you're talking about last year. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Jim Tressel when they got in trouble, with Tattoo Gate. But it really was. I mean, that was a ridiculous penalty.
That really was. Especially in hindsight now, looking back.
Yeah.
The penalties,
on,
they don't really match at all.
Their gold jackets or their gold pants for tattoos. Is that really that big of a violation? I mean, come on. This is the issue with the NCAA. It's weak. Yeah. It's a weak committee, okay? They don't have any guts whatsoever.
Real leadership.
And as this progresses, as the NIL progresses, and eventually student athletes will end up unionizing, and eventually there will be strikes in the future, and we'll sit back and we'll be pissed off and wish it was the way when Braylon played and so on and so forth. The NCAA can be ultimately to blame because they never curtailed it. They never thought forward enough thinking to believe this is what could be done just in case. That's what good leadership does. They look at things just in case. What's going to happen down the road? They never thought of it. It's gotten out of hand and out of control, and they've got no way to curtail it now.
The situation is just all over the place. NCAA had started. You can go back to NIL space. You can go back to what they knew was going to exist, and you could have protected yourself then. But you know what? You let it get here. But just speaking on the Michigan situation, there's so many unknown factors, I think, that play to the situation. You bring up the Ohio State stuff. Okay, so did they hire a private law firm? Did they do all the information? Was it related to Ryan Day? Was it his brother? Did they do this information? Did they, come up with a long expose, if you will, of documents, of proof of what Michigan was doing, and then submit this information to the NCAA? That's already conflict of interest. Greg Schiano and Rutgers. It's so many layers to pull back that you just really want it to be over. Like, so many people got involved in the NCAA because of what they were dealing with transfer portal, NIL space, not having the respect, nobody listening to them. They couldn't make that decision. They couldn't say, this is what happened, this is what the penalty is, because nobody was listening to it. You can't make that statement as an NCAA when you got institutions in your ACC, Florida State and Clemson, talking about, we don't even want to be a part of ACC. In fact, we're suing to get out of the ACC. When you got all this going on, like, your ship is so all over the place. Yeah. You can't dial into what Michigan did, what Michigan didn't do, what's the penalty for what they did, and move forward, because it's so many, as you call them, leaks. You got so many leaks in your boat.
Yeah, they are so not set up for this type of investigation. They're just not. And that's why when people say it's the Wild Wild West, it really is. What is the level? You've talked to, I'm sure, a lot of your Michigan brethren over the years, or over the last few days, and you've known a lot of guys over the years. What is their level, not embarrassment, but what's the level of understanding of what has happened, and overall how they think it affects Michigan's image in general?
I think at the end of the day, everybody that I've talked to, everybody that I've seen kind of speak on this matter is just, annoyed that it's still going on. They understand that something took place, whether it was known or not. It's still something we have to take responsibility for. There was an advantage, if you will, that we acquired by being able to do this. Doesn't matter who knew about it. This is what was going on, and some people knew. So yeah, we did something wrong, in that sense. And I think it's been taken care of. I think it's been discussed. I think because of what it was and because of what we know goes on a day-to-day basis in this space, and you knew it was edible, you knew it was adaptable, you knew it was changeable, it's done. What's done is done.
How often did you line up in college and opposing defenses recognize certain sets, certain situations that your team was in, and had a pretty good understanding because they were such film hogs of what was going to happen?
All the time. That's what audibles are for. All the time. They see you line up in a certain set, or they see the tendency in a stance or a split. Oh, he's got a short split. Braylon usually, when he runs a 6-yard split, he's probably going to run the corner route on the Badger play. So that exists. And seeing something in pregame, if somebody caught wind of something, like, hey, look, watch this when they go trips right with Jason Devon on the outside. That happens all the time. It's a part of the game. You got to learn, you got to adapt, you got to adjust on the fly. Like, it is sport is real live on the fly adjusting. And that's what happens. So that's all the time. You're telling me they had some plays? All right.
A lot of it's out of tendencies, right? You're recognizing tendencies of what another team does to try and prepare for it. And I've said this for a long time. I don't know if this is a great example, but I'd like your take on it. You and I could go to any game and take our phones and record what opposing coaches are doing.
Yeah.
And go back and study it enough with somebody with your football acumen and recognize what some of their tendencies were doing. That's why, I don't think it's a problem that you've got one guy who is studying what the other team is doing.
Yeah.
That is pretty typical. They do that in every sport. You don't think they've got baseball people? I know guys way back in the day would have somebody in center field looking at signs. Some say that, they're relaying them to the hitter, but there are certain guys who have done that, and it's a thing, all right?
Shout out AJ Hinch.
Yeah. Well, no, that wasn't referring to that, but I mean that happened with his team, obviously, and he paid the price for it and publicly and lost his job, but was able to find another one. I think a big reason why he's as loyal to Detroit as he should be. But my point is that you can go to a lot of places and you can find people who can break that down for you, right? That's why I say the Connor Stallions on the sideline was a line that was stepped over. If it's him in the stands filming, Kool-Aid and Ricky can do that for us. Bring it back, and Braylon can say, my guess is this is what they're doing. There's the tendencies right there. Watching film on a regular basis. They've got guys who do that for every program, every quality program. It's the taboo was doing it on the sidelines, especially of a rival.
Look, that's fine, but Michigan State was sorry as hell. Forgive me. I'm so tired of all of this guy on the sideline. And this is why I say you don't know what Connor Stallions was doing on his own. Like Jim McElwain, we know was on the coaching staff at University of Michigan. Then he was a head coach at Central Michigan. So therein lies that connect. He was on the sideline of the Central game scouting Michigan State. Oh my God, we have to scout this Michigan State team. It is so vital for this 2023 rivalry game because Michigan State is that good. I don't know what the hell happened with Connor Stallions, and I don't know how he got on that sideline. But it was Michigan State who they beat by 47, and we see what that program is. I just don't believe that the emphasis was, hey, Connor, we need you to do what you do, send you up here, get on this sideline, scout this Michigan State team for us so we can get all the advantages and the things. Like, just blow it out of you know what with that. So I don't know what happened in that case, and that's why I want all the information.
Yeah, and are we going to get it? That's the question, because here's the devil's advocate.
I'm still waiting for that Epstein file.
Amen to that. I've been waiting for that for a long, long time,
Just
man.
saying.
I was told about that about 3 years ago. Listen, but here's the one thing I would say, devil's advocate.
Yeah.
If it wasn't that important, why was he doing it? Right, and that's where it comes back to what you were saying. Was he doing it on his own? Was he instructed to do it? If it wasn't, when people say, "Oh, cheating is not that big of a deal," well, then what do you have to do it? Well, steroids not big of a deal.
I agree.
If it wasn't helping you, why were you taking them? You know what I mean?
I agree. I've met Connor Stallions. I've talked to him a couple times. I've watched the documentary Untold, which really was nothing. It's a nothing burger. Like he strikes me as the type of individual that does things on his own. This is not me trying to dissociate Michigan. At the end of the day, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, this really does not harm me in any way, shape, fashion, form. And apparently it doesn't harm the institution.
Yeah.
Still national champions. Jim Harbaugh still doing his thing, so it doesn't matter.
But you think he's a rogue guy?
Exactly.
Okay.
I think he's a rogue guy. Like, and I think this rogue move got him caught. And in doing so, it got the institution caught up. Like, I don't know what was what. Maybe Jim knows more. Maybe I'm giving, Connor Stallions too much credit. But he just feels like someone that does his own thing. It makes no absolute sense to be on that sideline, that Central Michigan game against Michigan State. Like, that's just a situation where I felt like everything was good. I'm cooking with grease. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the stands. I got my whole play. I can record. I'm giving the information or however the information is being passed off. I'm doing this. How can I take this up a notch? How can I get some more insight? How can I do more? Because you're not getting any more insight by being on the field. This just seems like something that you want to do. I want to be on the field. How close can I get to the action?